G'day guys, Adam Cogan here from SSW TV, and we are at the Ask Me Anything booth just after Scott's session at NDC Sydney. How you going, Scott?
I'm pretty good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I have a whole raft of questions I've been given.
Oh, written on an iPad with Post-it notes.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll start with, there's a few crazy ones, but...
Where are these from?
Different peoples. Different people.
Oh my.
Okay. Is MVC dead?
Is MVC
as a front
dead?
end? Like we're all doing Angular, and
That's
we're doing
a silly thing to say.
Well, we're not doing front ends in MVC a lot these days. We're doing Angular and React.
Angular is MVC. It's on the client though.
Yeah, but we're doing our controller on the client.
No, I don't think it's dead.
All right.
You still have that first page load problem. I think that if you're going to be doing, web API, there's still going to be a controller in the back doing something. Whether the view is HTML or React, or whether the view is JSON, it's just a pattern. It's been around for 40 years. I think I think it's early to say anything is dead.
All right. Okay. Next request is: can you do the rest of the interview in your Australian accent? Don't worry about that one.
I can say wallaby.
Well,
I think my Australian accent is more of a New Zealand accent. I'm not really sure.
All right. So look, you've got an awesome job where you have a lot of influence. You have a great blog, which everybody would say is successful. You do great speeches and you have a lot of influence there. If you had to give up one of those things and you had to delete your blog or no more speaking for the next, from here on in, or give up your job, which one would you give up?
Give up my job.
You give up your job and just do...
I was blogging and speaking many years before my job, and I will many years after my job. Jobs are fun, but you're a member of the community. I don't need the job to be a member of the community.
But you have a special job. Like when I go to work, I love working with the guys, and you get to build things and create things for clients. You get to create and have an influence over the stuff that we do.
Yeah, but I would argue that I've been doing this 25 years. I was doing it for 15, 16 years before I went to work at Microsoft, and I was an MVP and an RD and a member of the community and an open source contributor, as you were. That was a kind of influence. It's just a different kind of influence. So right now, I'm the community's person on the inside, but I can certainly be an influence for good on the outside as well.
Yeah, that's true. So since you've been at Microsoft for many years now, how long?
8.
8 years. Is there a few things that you're quite proud of that you were able to have an influence on something?
Well, I mean, it's all team effort, of course, but getting Windows Live Writer open sourced.
Okay.
With the help of Martin Woodward and Rob Dolan and all the folks that worked on that. So
awesome.
Open Live Writer was something that's valuable. Certainly, getting a major group effort is getting .NET to run everywhere. Right, getting it to run on, on OS X and on Linux and all that kind of stuff. But also, I think normalizing open source so that the ASP.NET team isn't like the freakishly weird team at Microsoft. People now look to us and the .NET team as a model for how to do open source at Microsoft.
Cool. If you look at your blog and you look at the spikes you've had over the years. What are some of those monster spikes, and have they been great?
Spikes, you mean like traffic?
Yeah, huge. You've been slashdotted and things like that. Tell us some of the. When you look at your traffic, tell us some of those big spikes and what they.
Oh gosh, I don't know, man. It's been 1.5 million page views pretty consistently a month for the last several years. There's not really spikes. Like people think that Reddit or that Hacker News gets you a spike, but it's usually only 20, 30,000, maybe 50,000 hits. In the course of a day on a blog that's already getting decent traffic, you don't even notice them.
Really?
And I'm not saying that in a jerky way. I'm just saying that like the site's been taken down like twice, and I think the second time was when we announced .NET Core, and then also open sourcing ASP.NET, and it was down for a couple of hours, whatever, because the virtual machine tipped over, but. Yeah, it's just ebbs and flows, but there's no major traffic that stands out.
Okay, all right. What about the portal, the Azure portal? I find it a lot of friction. Many of the developers find it a lot of friction. Can you explain to us why do we have this blade system? Why don't they just do an Angular front end?
Well, you just conflated Blades and UX with Angular, which are unrelated.
Well,
the Azure portal is written in Knockout.
Yeah, not totally unrelated, because if Microsoft were investing heavily in the portal and they were doing, say, an Angular, they build more tools for Angular, they do more stuff because they were heavily invested in it. You're almost building your own framework. You're building your own framework.
The Azure portal is its own framework, but it's written in Knockout, which is a MVVM, right, which is not MVC. But there's a huge amount of investment in the Azure portal. Again, I just got off stage talking about it. There's keyboard shortcuts now. You can hit the question mark while you're in the portal. There's configurable dashboards that you can swap between. There's breadcrumbs, so you can have a task going and then basically task switch within the portal, go off to other blades and then switch back. The blade system scaled quite nicely for Xbox, so I don't see why it wouldn't work for Azure. I think people just need to sit down and understand that something being not immediately intuitive doesn't necessarily mean that it's not successful. If you give the Azure portal 10, 15 minutes of your time, sit with me sometime, I'll show you, I think you'd feel pretty good about it.
But just on the UI of it, of the concept of the blades, and
I can't speak to why they picked blades.
Right.
I like them.
Right.
I don't really sweat it. I was zipping around all day on the Azure portal and didn't have any issues at all.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
Your pin. What is your pin? All right.
We don't have pins, remember? We're chip and sign.
Right. Okay.
Because we're in the old days.
Do you care about URLs as part of a UI?
Yeah, absolutely. The URLs are part of the UI, and clean URLs are important.
Okay.
Now, of course, my blog has .aspx at the end, which is a 12-year-old artifact. But yeah, I think that like things like, remember Windows Live Spaces?
Yes.
I think that would have been more successful if the URLs hadn't sucked. And I think SharePoint has really ugly URLs and could do better there. Right. And if they had pretty URLs and they cared about it, even Google Gmail has ugly URLs, and Facebook has ugly URLs. Yeah. I like Stack Overflow. There's nice, clean URLs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is going on with the Microsoft logging system, authentication? When you go in, you've got one URL after another, just switches. Absolute crazy.
Ask Vittorio; he would know.
What's your feeling on DevOps?
That's a big statement.
Well, containers and Docker, and where are we going with that stuff?
I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty broad statement. DevOps, it's just another name for IT administration and management, keeping the operations running. I don't know what to tell you. Are you asking me what I think about containers, or what do I think about containerization in general?
Yeah, or? like it's obviously it's the direction to go, and
is it?
Well, I think a lot of investment is happening in that space.
I think the important thing is to back up and ask ourselves, why containers? The issue is about reliable deployments that we can count on. And rather than writing code that goes and figures out whether or not the system was correctly deployed, now with containers we just blow them away and fire up another container, and we do it in a reliable way. Right. So containers exist for deployments that you can trust. Right. And containers are a way of saying VMs were too heavy, and we couldn't trust our deployments, and certainly Xcopy deployment isn't enough.
Okay, so I'll take two of the last ones that I've got here. When you go speaking around the world, you have met audiences from all over the place. Like when I go around Australia and speak at a lot of different cities, I really notice that. Like for instance, I find Brisbane has an incredible, I always have a great experience in Brisbane because the developers seem super smart and early adopters and stuff. When you've been to Australia, Norway, all over America, tell me some of the audiences that you really enjoy.
So you're saying stereotype people by region?
Yeah, some amazing.
I remember when I went to Cairo that I assumed a certain demographic that I would speak to, and in fact it was about 45% women, and it was people under 30. So I would say that Egypt has a very, very diverse and enthusiastic group of young people with a very good gender balance. That was surprising. I thought it was going to be old Egyptian dudes, right? And it was excited young people and a very, very good. They have more women in tech over there than we do in the U.S. That was exciting and surprising.
And what stuff excites you?
Virtual reality, if I can get the money to pay for one of those goggles.
Right.
I think that would be
the HoloLens?
Cool. I tried the HoloLens. It didn't blow me away the way the Oculus did.
Oh, really?
But I'm more interested in the gaming aspect of stuff.
Right.
I'm not interested in seeing the outside world. I'm more interested in, like, have you ever read Snow Crash?
I haven't.
I want to rent like a container where where you put your storage. You store all your crap in a storage container. So I want to have like my own holodeck. I'll just go into the storage container, I'll put the thing on, and then get one of those things that you can run on where you're running but you're not going anywhere.
All right.
That would be cool.
Okay.
So I'm interested in it for like Call of Duty more than actually getting work done.
Okay, all right. So I'll just finish off. You did the keynote for the kids. You've got 2 little boys.
I do.
6 and 8.
8 and 10.
8 and 10. I've got 2 girls, 12 and 14. Are they going to be coders? Is part of your interest in getting them coding?
I'm not trying to make them coders. I want to make them well-balanced individuals that know that outside is a place that they're allowed to go. I think that teaching them how to think about systems is more important than teaching them how to code. They'll figure out how to code. So we teach them how to take things apart and how large systems work, but I'm not going to push them to be programmers.
Awesome. Well, with that, thank you very much, Scotty.
Cool.
It's been great seeing you. And with that, this is Adam Cogan from SSW TV.
Catching Pokemon.
Good. Are you recording? All right. Oh, God. No.
Do you want a cappuccino? Cappuccino?
All right. Shh. G'day, guys. Here I am with... all right, sorry, I'll start again. Sorry. What's the intro?
Hi, I'm here with my friend of 20 years, Scott Hanselman.
All right.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Scott Hanselman, here with Adam Cogan at NDC Sydney. We're hanging out. It's SSW Video. How are you, sir? That's how you do an intro. No, go ahead. I'll be right here, please.